welcome to yet another coffee conversation for VOF. I am Shiv, founder of VOF. World is One Family, and today we have with us Ketki, who is a trainer, facilitator for behavioral and soft skills, and we are going to ask her a few questions pertaining to that area, okay, which will be relevant to everyone. Hello, Ketki. Welcome to our coffee conversations.
Hi, Shiv. Thank you so much. It feels great to be here finally, and I'm really happy that we are doing this. So, all excited for it.
Okay, pleasure is mine, and we are really grateful that you could make it to this. And I am going to ask you a set of questions on this particular topic. And yeah, your reviews will really help us and all those people who visit our website. Okay. Let me begin with my first question. I want to ask you, what is emotional intelligence? How would you define it for a layman?
Right. So starting from the basics first things first. So Shiv, as we know, all of us humans, there's something that makes us unique. And what makes us unique is our emotions and our feelings. So emotional intelligence is very, very associated, very much close to it. And what it really means, put very simply, is the ability of us human beings to be able to perceive our emotions, to be able to control our emotions, and to be able to express our emotions in such a manner.
This is a great example actually, Ketki, because even with this traffic jam, you are able to control your emotions very well, right? I think it is kind of, I would have lost my temper, but you are able to manage it with a smile, right? Isn't it? This is a good example, right?
Well, yes, I'm glad you looked at this side of it. So of course, as I was saying, was to be able to perceive, to be able to control and express our own emotions, but at the same time having the sensitivity to be able to understand and interpret emotions of other people around us, of the society, of our team members, of our family, because that is what makes a society, that we are social animals. So it is very important aspect of emotional intelligence that we not only understand our emotions, but also that of people around us. So in a nutshell, to give you, very, very brief definition, this is how I would summarize emotional intelligence.
Okay, great. I want to, moving on to my next question, I want to ask whether this particular skill, is it inherent in you from the day you are born, or is it something which you can learn over time? This particular emotional intelligence.
Right. Very pertinent question. And, this reminds me of the question people have about, not a question, but, the discussion people have around leadership, whether, you're born a leader or you can be made into a leader, you can learn to become a leader. So emotional intelligence, I feel, is, very much a similar way, because a lot of people have different opinions about it. There are different schools of thought about it. But what I truly believe in is that this is a skill which can be learned over a period of time. This is something that can be developed right from your childhood. And generally, we learn through experiences, good and bad both. So, if you've been in a situation and in that moment, probably you didn't know how to handle it. But then once you are past that, you will know the next time you're in such a situation, what is it that you should do, or at least what is it that you should not do. You'll be clear about that. But emotional intelligence is actually when you start understanding and interpreting yourself. You are more self-aware. What you know about what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. You also try to understand about other people, and there are various tools and techniques, and it can be made into a lot of fun ways of learning as well. But unfortunately, in our curriculum, we don't have the skill of of learning emotional intelligence right from childhood, right from our curriculum. So that is something that could be, we are always hell-bent on increasing the IQ, and not enough focus is there on EQ. But EQ is something that will take you through life. IQ could be something which can, help you in your career aspect, or, certain professional aspects only. But EQ is also a very, very big part of both your professional and your personal life. So I believe that the learning starts, and it is through experiences. Only thing is, just imagine if you already know where before a situation, you're in a situation, you already know how to handle that, how to handle yourself in some kind of a difficult situation. If you're prepared for it right from the beginning, your foundation is set. So when you reach a certain maturity, a certain age, you will be able to handle things a lot better. So it is definitely a skill that can be learned over a period of time.
Great, great, Ketki. I mean, yeah, this is really useful for everybody, this answer, and people can take some solace and inspiration from it. The next question which I'm going to ask is kind of related to it. I want to ask how emotional intelligence is related to mental health, because see, in these times where for at least 1.5 years people have been in lockdown across countries in the world, it's not just our country, people have been under lockdown for a long time, and I'm sure it has impacted them in some way. So I want you to throw some light on how people have gotten impacted, and whether people with better emotional intelligence would have handled it better, the situation better.
Sure, Shiv. Of course, yes. It is very important to talk about this, because this is something which is so relevant to all of us. Each and every segment of the society has been impacted. Some sectors more than others, some section of society much more than others. But nevertheless, the impact that this lockdown has had on the mental health, the emotional side of people has been, it's been huge. And for a lot of people, because of course this was something unexpected, this was not something that people were prepared, and uncertainty always comes with, it's a shocker. So when this lockdown happened, and when people had not anticipated what could be the level of changes in their lives, because that was completely unknown, unimaginable. So hence I feel the impact that people have had on their mental health, on their emotional health, has been huge, because we were used to a certain kind of life, a daily routine, and even the changes that our generations have seen have not been of this level. So definitely the impact has been huge. And if I talk about what kind of impacts, impact has been there at every level. For some people who've lost their job and are feeling, have felt the financial stress. For some people staying with the family, but, not being able to take care of the family because of this kind of a stress. There are other sectors, the students, I feel really, for them, that they've had a year and a half of just online classes, looking at screens. So they've lost out on a year and a half of actual face-to-face interactions. So because of all these changes, how people have been impacted is, either some people have taken to themselves. So it's both ways. Some people have, become more and more introverts, because what is your outlet here? You can, okay, how much can you talk with your friends on Zoom, on video calls, etc. So they've gone inside, but not in a healthy way. So the impact is that some of them have become more aloof and more lonely, and depression and anxiety cases especially has increased exponentially. Another aspect is, if you look at the number of cases in terms of domestic violence, the aggressiveness, I'm just saying, in what forms this is coming out in the symptoms of this mental health issues, is also that some of it has come out in the form of, aggressive behavior at home. For students, like I said, that very, very lonely, aloof, being to themselves, not liking to talk to people because you're surrounded by just 2-3 people all the time. So you just feel that, okay, where is that outlet? So depression, anxiety, again, uncertainty. Because of uncertainty, all of this has crept in, and it is here to stay. It is taking a lot of time and a lot of toll on the people to come out of it as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Ketki. I want to ask something related to it. I mean, is there any way? I mean, of course, we need not go in depth, but is there any way that people can handle this anxiety or depression by a simple method? Let's say, will talking to somebody, I mean, even if your own family member, will that help? If you're not able to meet friends, will talking to a family member help you out that way?
Definitely, most definitely. So asking for support. So firstly, I think people should understand that asking for support, or even if not support, just a listening ear, somebody who's there to listen to you, that itself makes a huge, huge difference. So if you're at a stage where you can understand what is happening and what is the cause of it, great. And after that, if you want some kind of professional help also for that, we've seen a lot of therapists and coaches and counselors who've helped people come out of it also, because it becomes very difficult to go inside, look at yourself when you're in that mental state. But for somebody who's a professional, so it becomes easier for you to or you get a big support from them to actually help you, to look at you from their eyes, from a third person's eyes. When you're in that state, it's really, really difficult. So talking to a family member, being open about what you're feeling, and also reflecting and thinking where these feelings are arising from. What has led to this kind of, whether it is insecurity, whether it is aggressiveness, whether it is anxiety, etc. Going to the bottom of it, chunking it down, and going to the bottom of it, at least understanding. That will give you a very good understanding of yourself, and you can replicate that in future as well. So that is definitely one of the most important things to talk about it. Other than that, few other things that people can do can also be a simple thing like, investing your time in a hobby, doing what you like. So we've had so many online classes and a lot of things which have started during this time. In fact, I myself, I took to mandala art, and I felt it was therapeutic, and it really did me good, I feel. So I know so many people who took to things that they liked and never got the time for it. So even when you are, it's like meditation, whatever you really enjoy and which can help you to be in the present moment, doing that, and doing that on a daily basis for some time, at least practicing that on a daily basis. So that is again something that I would strongly suggest for being balanced and
Right. Yeah, that's a great suggestion, Ketki. I mean, people can explore that. But something related to this, I want to ask you. Indians especially seem to have a lot of problem in this particular area. Is it because Indians find it difficult to express themselves in whatever way? I mean, we are saying that, talk to a family member or pick up a hobby, but not many people do that. They tend to act brave in front of everybody, as if nothing has impacted them, but deeply inside, they are getting impacted. I mean, why do you think, we Indians face it a little bit more? Is it because of how we are conditioned, go out and work, and only then, you will be respected by society, showing that you are weak, vulnerable, or picking up some hobby which may not yield you financial returns, you are considered as weak. Is it true? Is it due to that?
Absolutely. I'm so happy you brought out that point, the point about conditioning. And we as Indians, growing up, we are made to believe that, there are a lot of judgments around things. आप ऐसा करोगे तो आपको ऐसा बोला जाएगा, like you said कि taking up some hobby which will not yield financial this thing, ये बेकार है, why are you wasting your time on that, things like that, right? So बहुत judgmental है. So because of that, I do feel that for us Indians to be able to express ourselves completely, it is a task, it is a big task. But I also feel, looking at the brighter side, Shiv, I feel that the current generation, I mean, they are much more aware, and they are, of course, the exposure is there, but I would also say that their maturity is also there for a lot of youngsters who, you know, understand this is something that I need help in, and they don't shy about it, and they're not shy about it, and they're unapologetic about it, which is really, really great. So that's a good change, but of course it will take time for the mentality as such to change.
Right. Maybe the elders can also take a cue from the younger generation, right? In that, right? Absolutely. It's important to express yourself, even if, you know, you may not be politically correct. I would say it's better to be, you know, out there, vulnerable. It's fine. Because it eases your load. I have experienced it myself. You know, the more I try to hide it and become brave, it doesn't help. But, you know, the more I put myself out there, I think it helps a lot. Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah, it's a great point to discuss. And yeah, I hope that, you know, people pay attention to that. Now, I just kind of want to, you know, come to the end of it. I want to ask you, you know, how much importance is self-love, and how, you know, what message would you want to give to people around the world, or especially to people who would visit our site, as to how, you know, how much important self-love is, and how they can, you know, handle their life better despite all the difficulties. You know, some people feel that life is a struggle, and there is no hope and all that. How can, what is this concept of self-love, and how can self-love actually help you, you know, in tackling these problems on a day-to-day basis?
Sure, excellent question there, Shiv. So self-care is, I think, it is given very less credit. It is so important, and it is given very less credit than actually what it deserves. So you would understand that a lot of issues that people face they can be traced to self-love. If you dig deeper and, you know, unravel layer after layer, it is seen that, and in fact, in a lot of sessions, I have also noticed while talking to people that if you can chunk down the problems and, you know, get to the cause of it, most often than not, you will find that self-love is at the deepest root or cause of a lot of issues that people have. So self-love is the starting point. That's why I'm saying, like, this is just the starting point, and that seed needs to be sowed right when you're young. So self-love, what it means is that putting yourself first, loving yourself the most, because only when you love yourself, you can love others around you. You can be your authentic self. You can accept yourself. And once you do that, all the issues related to low self-esteem, or, you know, comparison with peers, comparison with other people, with siblings, etc., all of this will go if you learn to accept yourself the way you are, and you are unique and beautiful. So remembering that is really, really important, and the belief that you are unique, you are beautiful, and you're made this way. So just loving this idea and loving yourself is so important. Now, ways of practicing self-love is not being guilty of giving yourself time, taking a break. So a lot of times we think that there's so much of work, etc. But if I take a break now, pura dependency is on me, then what will others think of me, etc., etc., etc. But if you are not able to carry on, giving yourself a break is absolutely fine. In fact, it is going to do more good than bad for you. So being okay with that, saying no to things that you don't want to do, to taking up additional responsibilities, or, you know, speaking up for yourself, that again is an expression of self-love. Again, tending to yourself, giving time to yourself, whether it is you want to take up some hobby, you want to work out, you want to do your meditation, yoga, anything that you like, on a consistent basis. It's not that once upon a time, or once in a month, or once in 2 months, you just bring out whatever you have to and then spend one day and then forget about it. No, consistently every day reminding yourself and taking care of yourself, that is what self-love is all about. And it is extremely important to be sure of yourself, to build that belief and to build the self-esteem in yourself.
Okay, great, great. I mean, I think that is a great message for all the people out there. Concentrate on yourself, feel brave to, assert yourself, assert your rights and all that. And go about your life unapologetically, right? I mean, not feel afraid, not be brave just for the society. First concentrate on yourself, address your issues, be communicative. All these things are interlinked, and eventually would make you handle your emotions better, and address all these challenges which we are having in today's times. So yeah, thank you so much, Ketki, for throwing light on some of these very important issues which a lot of people are facing nowadays. And I'm sure that once people access this conversation that we have had on our website, it will benefit a lot of people. So hence, on behalf of VOF and all our team, we are really grateful to you for having come today and addressing these important points. And we look forward to a continued interaction with you on a periodic basis, so that our people benefit. Thank you so much, Ketki, and we will stay in touch. And yeah, take care.
Thank you so much, Shiv. Pleasure has been mine, and looking forward to more conversations like this. And to all the people out there, believe in yourself. You are lovely, you're unique, you're beautiful, and take good care of yourself. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Have a nice day. Bye.